Yay, we get to talk comic books this episode. What's up, Jesse? Jesse's back. Creator of the Robo comic book. We'll get to that later. We're just going to talk about some comic books.
Awesome.
Dude, all right. So I just want to talk about, let's start like in the early days. What was your comic book reading like, and how did you feel about it? Because, you know, it wasn't cool to be into comic books like back in high school.
Yeah. Okay. So I think last time I was on, we actually talked about my first comic, which I was really impressed that the guys who do your video editing like found it and put it on screen, because that was Justice Machine, I think it was.
When was that?
This is like 1986.
Oh damn, dude! So I forgot about that fun fact.
Maybe 1987. I was 6 or 7 years old, but I got a bunch of comics off of a spinner rack at like a upstate New York Catskill area cafe, just like strategically placed by the door for me to be like, Mom, I want that.
Oh, my bad. I thought you said you wrote your first comic in 86.
No.
I was like, how did I not remember that?
I actually was making comic strips at a really young age, but they're, it's nowhere on the same level. But early comic book reading, so yeah, I had those for, I don't know, like a year. Justice Machine, Robotech, G.I. Joe, and probably something stupid like Care Bears, whatever had like cartoony characters. I wasn't even into Care Bears, but I'm sure I was just like, I want all of these.
Yeah. They're fun, especially for kids, all the colors and
yeah. I think like a couple of years later, so maybe like 89, I was probably in a gas station and I was like, Mom, there's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comics.
Yeah.
And I have to have them or I'm going to be like an unbearable shit.
Yeah.
And
yes,
so,
which is an appropriate response for Ninja Turtles. That's
right.
Like...
Yeah. And so, my mom being the wonderful mother that she is, and possibly a little bit of a pushover to an annoying child. Her words at one point, not mine. She got them for me. And so I have a couple of those like early Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures comics. And it's, there's the first Ninja Turtles comics, the Eastman and Laird ones, black and white, gritty, like, not appropriate for
kids.
Yeah. Or, people who don't like black and white comics.
I need color.
Exactly. But these ones were like the cartoon show, the 80s cartoon show that would come on. It's drawn in that style, very lighthearted, almost the same plot lines as like the episode. So, Shredder's making a mutant, I don't know, elephant. How do we stop him? Well, let's kick a bunch of robots and
then jump Shredder at the end. Shredder never got a one-on-one fight. That's
only in the movie. Only in the live action movie. They came at him like a kung fu movie, one-on-one, and he beat their butts.
Oh yeah. And then they were like, "No, we got to work together." The Turtles were just jumping people. Also, I feel like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles got an assist on parenting. Because I spent a lot of time in front of the TV watching the Turtles. I feel like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles gave parents a lot of break from their kids. Even your mom. Your mom was like, let me just give him this comic book so he can shut up.
TV, big assist on parenting with me. I spent a lot of time in front of the TV.
How do you think that shaped your worldview?
Squarely.
What does that mean? Wow. Wow. You're on fire today, dude. That's like...
I did not expect the professional comedian to applaud the pun.
Yeah, no, I like all sorts of humor. Puns are like the jab in comedy. Like it's a nice little, just keep it.
Yeah. No, I think who was I talking with this about? Somebody. I was trying to figure out whether or not 90s media like set me up to be cynical.
90s. Why the 90s? Because that seemed like a very fun, like idyllic time on TV. What were you?
But you are 10 years younger than I am.
Oh, that's right. You were
So
watching
still
the
watching
X-Files and shit.
Kid stuff, and I was watching like My So-Called Life, X-Files.
Okay.
So a lot of the like 90s, especially like mid-late 90s stuff was like the system is stacked against you.
Mm-hmm.
So that lines up. But also just kind of I don't know, like very grunge, like, you know.
Yeah.
Not a lot of those grunge guys lived through their success. They were not happy people.
Yeah.
And so I think, you know, it was sort of that general, like, the world is depressing vibe. So, yeah, I think watching a lot of TV in the 80s as a kid definitely sets up that, like, especially for the kid, like super subconscious, but just like everything's an ad because all the cartoons were ads. Like,
yeah,
like the Reagan ethos is in there a little bit.
So I wasn't old enough to realize that. So I was like, give me the toys.
Right.
You know, I was.
No, I wasn't either. I'm talking subconscious. So that plants the seed. And then you get to the 90s and, you know, as a teenager, you're watching all this stuff that's like the world is depressing and everybody needs help and my parents are splitting up and also the government is a conspiracy and, you know, whatever 90s show you want to draw out. The message is probably cynical. There's not a lot of rainbows and kittens happening there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think spending a lot of time in front of the TV definitely, I wouldn't say it did me super wrong. It probably does everybody wrong a little bit, but the other thing I think
did you good, right? If it's going to pull some bad, there's probably some good. I think it's good to be cynical up to a certain point.
Well, I think the other aspect of that, just for me, is I was living in such a rural area. That a lot of my ideas about the world were shaped through TV. So, I mean, I didn't have the counterbalance of, The Wire didn't come out in the 90s, but, you know, the counterbalance of like, this is what's happening outside and this is what the TV says is happening. And there's a disconnect there.
Mm-hmm. Which show you think gave you the biggest disconnect?
I'm just going to blame My So-Called Life again because it's already on my mind.
What was the premise of that show? I never watched it.
Teen girls are moody and have problems.
Yeah. You get teen girls are moody. You could have stopped there.
I mean, teen girls are moody.
Yeah,
but oh man, are they moody?
Yeah,
in My So-Called Life. I think anybody listening, watching from my age group will just like lock right onto that. It was a big show.
My mom probably saw that. It's probably because she used to watch like 90210 and all that. Did you watch 90210 as well?
No, we didn't have that channel.
What?
We did not have that channel.
Oh.
We had an antenna, and 90210 was on one of the channels that came in fuzzy.
So you can watch 90210 like a lot of people watch porn, where it's like blurry.
Yeah,
and yeah,
which, you know, for a 13-year-old me probably would have been.
Yeah, true. There was some. 90210 has some hotties. My hotties were Saved by the Bell.
Oh yeah,
Kelly Kapowski, Lisa Turtle.
Yeah. Okay.
Jessie Spano. She was my number one.
She's the one that actually did porn.
See, I knew I picked the right one.
She was in Showgirls.
Yeah. I never saw that movie either, but I hear it's good.
It's not good.
I didn't want to look at Jessie Spano in that way. I just wanted to take her in as the nerd that got into a speed problem at one point. Did you watch the show?
No. Well, I watched the beginning. I never saw anything about doing speed.
Yeah, there was an intense episode where she got addicted to caffeine pills because she needed to study.
Oh, okay.
And that's where she's like, I'm so excited and I'm so scared. And it's like this fucking super intense scene. I was like, what is happening to this show? But yeah.
So they wanted to do a speed episode. They were probably told, no goddamn way are you mentioning amphetamines. And so they did it with caffeine.
Makes sense. If they did it today, it would be Adderall. It would be,
which is just amphetamine.
Yep. Yeah. It's diet meth. Just
that shocked the hell out of me when I first learned that. A friend of mine handed me her Adderall pills, and she was like, "Do you want to take one?" And I was like, turning around, I was like, "This is just amphetamine." She's like, "Yeah, that's what Adderall is," and I was like, "No, I'm not taking that."
Yeah, I didn't put that together. The way I came around was I did cocaine. And then at one point I did Adderall after cocaine. I was like, this feels familiar, but just a little different. Just, yeah. So did you watch, you might've been too old for this, like TGIF, like Family?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. I mean, Full House,
what'd you think of Full House? Which character were you? Were you Danny Tanner? Were you Uncle Jesse? Or were you Joey?
No, not that guy.
I think you're a Danny Tanner.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Like maybe now. I would.
Yeah.
I certainly identify with Bob Saget.
Yeah.
In terms of like straight-laced looking dude who has just the raunchiest sense of humor.
Yeah. That's probably where. Yeah.
But let's see who were. So it was all girls, right? The kids. Were there any younger male characters?
There was that kid with the great head of hair that came around. He was like a Jonathan Taylor Thomas type.
It wasn't my favorite of the TGIF ones. I think I usually like the ones that only lasted a season or two. Dinosaurs.
Oh my God, Dinosaurs is a shit. The intro song went hard as hell. Were those costumes?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
Big rubber costumes.
Oof. What do you think the inside of one of those smelled like after the first season? That's probably why they canceled
I'm betting you wouldn't want to replace the actors.
Yeah. Yeah, like that's probably why they canceled the show. They were like, these suits stink. They cost too much money to make. We can't do
The brother
this.
wants to quit. He's been doing backflips in the rubber suit, and no one else will take money to get inside this thing.
You could like sell that to like a fetish site.
Oh,
You know how people use get like used panties? You can get a
used dinosaur.
dinosaur suit with flannel shirt.
Why is the end of the tail all rubbed off?
Why does it smell like shit?
Yeah.
All right, so 90s TV was dark for you? No, 80s you said was dark.
No, 90s TV was dark.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And I think 80s TV was like really dark.
Okay.
And this would be my plug moment because that's like what I go for with the comic.
Nice.
Is like the stuff that looks good is the really dark stuff.
Yeah.
And the stuff that seems dark is closer to the truth.
Yeah. Okay. So did you get into any of the action shows from the 80s, like the detective shows or anything like that?
You're talking about like live action stuff?
Like Magnum PI, shit like that? Miami Vice?
You're going to laugh at me for this one. Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh, man. Well, you're from a rural area. It's just you're way up north.
Yep. Also, a show with Uncle Jesse.
Is there an Uncle Jesse in that? I didn't watch that show.
He wears He wears denim overalls.
I have. Oh, nice. I just bought a pair of denim overalls, black. And
these are like basically adult-sized Oshkosh bagosh.
Oh yeah. No, mine look like short. They have shorts too. They're short. It's a weird look. I don't know. I wore it once and I was like, I don't know about this. Look like I'm about to get fucked by somebody.
If nothing else, the system.
Oh yeah, and going back to your comic book. All right, so the first issue of your comic, what number are you on now? Because you've released a few since you last came on.
So while we're recording this, tomorrow is the 5th Kickstarter. The 5th issue is coming out with this Kickstarter, but you can also get all the other issues. 4 issues are already out.
Nice.
It's been, I wouldn't say it's been getting great reviews, but people have been reading it, say they've really been enjoying it. One of my friends, one of the people, like a acquaintance friend, so not super close, she's, telling me the truth. She was like, I am so glad that I got to read these all at once, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
That she felt like the flow of the story was solid together. It was a really nice compliment.
How do you go through the process of finding people you can ask for criticism or critique and know that you're getting a fair and honest response? How do you do that? Because that's important.
Yeah, that's it's really hard.
Yeah.
So I mostly get early critiques from my best friend growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I expect that he's going to give me a gentle truth because it's not going to ruin our friendship if he's like, this character isn't any good, you know. And he's also a writer. So
nice.
I get some response from that. For me, for my own method to like fake out any sort of imposter syndrome or jumping to conclusions, I try to ask different people all the time. And so I won't ask the same person. That way, like I can't create a narrative in my head about like, well, they told me they liked it 3 times. And so now they feel like they have to say they like the 4th one.
Oh yeah, I think that's a little crazy, but also a good strategy.
It's
so
good.
Crazy.
I'm working on that.
That's good. No, I think that's a healthy crazy, if that makes sense. Like that's like because you know, especially a lot of artists are insecure, they're self-conscious.
Yeah.
At what, like, if you take all of that away, what happens? Do you think that would help the art? Would it make it better, or is it one of those factors that kind of doesn't matter because humans are always kind of insecure, so it's always in there? Or like, what do you think?
I think that's the truth. There is that everybody always has some insecurity. But if I'm going to draw on my 90s TV experience, then artists need to be insecure and crazy,
right? What, like a little enough to where you don't spiral, but you keep going, you keep trying to get better. I
don't know. Everybody likes Nirvana.
Oh wait, but didn't somebody die in that one?
Yeah, dude.
Didn't something weird happen with that band?
Well, everybody likes Soundgarden too.
Who's Soundgarden?
Chris Cornell.
Oh shit. Okay.
Also died.
Yeah, he was in another band after that, right?
He's in 2 other bands after that.
Which ones were they? Because I know I listened to one of them.
Audio Slave.
That's
and then
it.
Self-Titled.
Audio Slave had some jams. I was senior year of high school, and I was like, yo, white music is all right. This is nice. I was like, I'm feeling this right now. I feel it.
Well, and you know, going back to insecurity in artists, I think people do really like to experience art from pained people because it does connect to all of us. As you said, everybody is a little bit insecure, and you know, unfortunately, these people are they're in their insecurity, they're in their art, and they're really putting it out there for us to see so we can connect with it really well. But unfortunately, it tends to also catch up to them.
Yeah, I feel like overall artists are getting better at taking care of themselves. Either going to therapy,
I think everybody that's a big statement. People are getting better at taking care of themselves in general. Again, let's go back to 90s TV, where going to therapy was a more common plot line, but it was still like you have to keep it secret.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I feel like I remember that from, I don't know which show, but I remember it was like a weird thing, and maybe Boy Meets World or something like that. They used to,
that was
definitely
showed up in that one.
Boy Meets World was pretty philosophical. I liked it with was it Mr. Feeney?
Yep.
Yeah, Mr. Feeney used to drop gems. He was a useful Wilson.
He was he the principal?
Yeah, he was the principal. Next door. You live next door to the principal. That sucks for the principal, not for the kid.
Well, that's what we see now as adults. But if you watch that as a kid, you're like, oh, this kid has to live next to the principal. Yeah. Can't get away with anything.
And now as adults, like, oh, he has to live next to that fucking kid and his family. Like, imagine like your work is right next door now. Like, that's
it's like, oh God, this kid just causes trouble all day, and I can't be hard on him because I can see his dad hitting him through the window.
Or they watch like Mr. Feeney's just like a pussy hound, just bringing back a bunch of women every weekend. Like, damn, he still got it like that.
All the teachers just always come over for conferences at Mr. Feeney's house.
What's that strobe light going off in there? Is that a smoke machine? Imagine somebody going to like a party rental place for their orgy. Like these smoke machines will look good. We'll put that in the den. Did you have a living room and a den, or did you have because I grew up with just a living room, and when I started hanging out with other people, I started hearing about a den and a living room.
Yep, we had a living room and a den.
Okay, the den is where you normally hang out. Living room's like when company comes over, right? Is that what?
No. Well, first of all, we didn't have company. We lived in the woods. The living room is where the TV was, and we watched TV. And the den was where my parents would go to smoke.
Oh, okay. All right. I don't remember them. Oh, maybe I did see that in the because I used to watch 90s TV, and it was like, or even just 90s content like Brink, any funny thing like Heavyweights. Any kind of like thing where they go to camp, I was like, oh man, that's some white people shit. I want to do that. I always thought that was so cool, like going to camp for like the summer and like you make friends. That shit sounds cool. Did you ever go to like a summer camp?
I always desperately wanted to go to camp.
Yeah.
And as an adult now, I realize that I lived at camp.
Oh yeah, you did. Yeah, that was like.
But the friends part super appealing to me, like going away and getting to like hang out with other kids just all the time.
Yeah, and doing like activities.
Yeah, I never even really cared about the activities. It was just like
you just wanted human
having
contact.
other people around.
Which 90s show or movie have you recently watched? Have you more recently watched? So what's like something from the 90s you're like, oh, let me watch that. It's been a while.
Seinfeld was ripping up on Netflix for a while, so I rewatched that. And I always watch Next Generation. Like whenever it's available on a streaming service that I have, I'll rewatch that. That's like Star Trek The Next Generation is probably the number one thing that I can watch that'll make me just feel like, oh, I wish I could go back to the 90s when when there was TV about a better world.
So if I wanted to watch the show, can I start at The Next Generation or do I have to go to the previous generation?
No, I would recommend skipping the original series.
Okay, cool.
I mean, it's good. People will like it. Please don't skewer me in the comics or in the comments. But Next Generation is, I mean, Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
It's fucking amazing.
All right.
Start on the second season.
Start on the second season? I can't do that. This is my... I got to...
Okay, I warned you. I warned you.
Jesse, I'll watch 50 episodes of anime in a thing before I'm like, yeah.
That's right.
There's a show I watched. I'm glad I stuck with it. It's 170 episodes. It took 50 something episodes for me to like, okay, I can do this. But at first I was like, so I got the patience.
The thing I would say, if you're going to watch Star Trek The Next Generation for the first time is, and you've just said you're not going to do this, but I'll say it for everybody else. Feel free to skip episodes.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it is pre-serial television, so every episode is meant to be watched by itself, randomly, etc. TV shows back then were, if they were hour-long episodes, they did 23 episodes per season, and there are 7 seasons. There's 175 episodes at an hour a piece. So that's why I say, like, I mean, maybe watch the first 2 episodes of the first season, then just go ahead and just skip.
All right, maybe I'll do that. I bet you I can go online and find like which episodes are worth watching or whatever.
Well, yeah, and that's the only other thing that I would say to counter what I've just said is if you only go and watch like the Emmy Award winning ones, like you'll get a good experience. That's great, but like when you watch a lot of it and you like start to really know the characters, I think is when you start to really appreciate like essentially no-name actors who were out there like killing it. Michael Dorn plays Worf, Klingon dude. It's a pretty wooden character at the beginning, and by the end of the 7th season, he's almost the star because he's just so invested in doing a good job.
That's awesome. I love that because Star Trek is actually the next step in my nerd.
Oh, okay.
My nerdhood.
We'll get you to play in Warhammer soon.
What's that? See, you just hit me with some shit I don't know. What is that?
It's probably like the highest tier of nerd. It's where you make little miniature armies and you put them in like a battlefield that you made yourself.
Are those the things you paint? And is that?
So I do that for Dungeons and Dragons. I can't even approach the Warhammer level, but it's like extremely technical, lots of rule books. Like people come out with rulers and stuff to measure like how far away is it really? Okay, well your rocket can't hit me or
yeah. I don't like doing anything that involves a ruler. If you need a ruler for this activity, I don't even want to fuck with it. Like, it's like all right. So is there beef between Star Trek people and is that real or is it more like the Puerto Rican Dominicans? where it's like more of a fun thing, unless you're in prison.
I was gonna say, is that not real? No, it used to be real.
It's more like fun and games, except if you're in prison. That's because of the gangs are there.
Yeah,
and they're split up. There's a Dominican gang, Puerto Rican gang. One of my worst bombs was at Rikers Island. I did did stand up for some inmates, and I was doing well for like 45 seconds, and then I told them I was Dominican, and then didn't get any laughs then, and I wasn't good enough to overpower their hatred for me then. So I just bombed and just watched a bunch of, and I did my pegging bit, the bit where I talk about thinking, you know, they were like, yo, like they were so uncomfortable. It was so bad.
Yeah, that might have been ill-advised,
right? It was
on
just,
top of the Dominican.
I was like 2 years in. It was rough. So I would imagine if Star Trek fans, what you think there's Star Trek and Star Wars gangs in prison?
No, definitely not. At comic book conventions or nerd conventions, there used to be, definitely.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, but you know, it's kind of like you know, a bad convention is like a nerd prison.
I could see that, especially if it's a hot summer day. He's trapped in there with that smell.
The guy shows up in the dinosaur suit that he bought off of eBay.
Yeah, just to terrorize.
Like a streaker just opened that thing up.
You could see the stink lines. All right, so that's one thing that frustrates me about the nerd world is that, like, you know, nerds have been picked on, whatever, for liking nerdy shit. Now it's cool, whatever. But now there seems to be one that's like gatekeeping, and two, within, like, yeah, I guess this is infighting in any subculture. You know, it's like people who watch subtitles look down on people that watch dub.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, hey, we're all watching the same show.
How would you feel if I moved to the Dominican Republic and just started talking about being Dominican all the time?
Are you speaking in Spanish?
Sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Okay.
Yeah, if you came out with a Dominican accent,
I came over and I was just like, this is, I brought the, you know, whatever food, and I'm like, this is how we do it down in the Dominican or whatever. And I just started really trying to present that way.
If you were living there, honestly, Jesse, if you lived there and brought me food, my own people would look at you as more Dominican than me. They already think I'm a white boy. So it's like, and also,
well, you do live in this neighborhood.
Yeah, I do. I like to say I'm taking the neighborhood back. Is what I.
You're not doing very well. The only other non-white people moved out.
Oh, did they? Oh shit.
Wait, no, is that not true?
I gotta get the numbers up.
Okay, that's not true. That's not true.
We still here? All right, cool.
But the neighbors moved out.
The next, yeah. They're not.
Anyway, no, I guess that was what I was going to say about gatekeeping in the nerd world. Is I think it's kind of, I don't want to make excuses for it because you shouldn't do it. You should let people like things that you like. But I think if you're an older nerd, probably, you know, a little bit younger than I am and older, then you're used to that being like your safe haven and something that you had to suffer to enjoy. And so when somebody else just gets to like ride in and enjoy it and, you know, didn't have to be ostracized for it, it's like, dude, you're not a real nerd.
Yeah, when you put it like that, it seems kind of just like a natural human response. Like to just be defensive and possessive over like what you think is your thing and all that. Yeah.
But people shouldn't do that. It
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. They're not taking it from you.
Yeah, if you're a fan, you should be getting more people to it so that the creators get more money, and then maybe they, you know, can be more happy and write better shit. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's how I feel about that. Everything except for the internet. I was wrong about that. In the late 90s, early 2000s, I told everybody, like, this internet shit is amazing. You got to get on there. You should spend more time on there. I was so wrong. That was a mistake. I should have kept that shit a secret.
So were you, when someone brought up the internet, were you just like, oh geez, like, you too?
No, it was when I spent some time out of the country. When I had moved away, nobody had phones with internet on them, and I was gone for about a year.
In Europe?
No, this is in Japan.
Oh, okay.
And Japanese people had internet on their phones, but it's different. And so when I came back to the United States in 2010, all of a sudden everybody's got an iPhone. And it was like, that was also, you know, rise of social media. Everybody's got Instagram. Those sorts of things were happening. In my opinion, it hasn't worked out that well. But
what, the internet?
Yeah, the way the internet's going, not so happy.
Are you anti-internet?
No, I can't be. I work on the internet.
I was about to say.
But I did write a comic book about how technology is ruining our lives.
Okay, Ted Kaczynski.
I try to keep it on theme when I come on your show.
I like that. Dude, I read 12, 13 pages of Ted Kaczynski's manifesto. And
how many episodes did you do on it? You didn't read the whole thing?
No. I petered out, and then it just started. I had my mom on the last two, which was a lot more fun to do. You got to watch your mental health when you're reading a psycho's manifesto.
Well, I haven't read any of it except for, you know, stuff that was in the paper.
Oh, he talks about how it's going to give us low self-esteem, depression, anxiety, low self-worth. What else? You know, the whole keeping up with the Joneses thing. He makes, that's the reason why I wanted to read it, because he does make a lot of those good, you know, good points.
Sounds like he's 6 for 6,
right? He's literally the only thing. And this is like one sentence in 13 pages so far, is like, even violence, like resorting to violence. Other than that, like, you know, you don't want to get violent. He's pretty spot on. Yeah. Then there's one section of it where it comes off very like, you know, people love these self-help Instagram quotes. It's all that shit, dude.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, he was dropping it in 95 or 93, whatever the hell he wrote that. I'm like, this is like those, you know, accounts I follow and everyone shares and they're like, I did something today. Yeah, so he could have been an Instagram influencer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that worries me a bit.
Right? Isn't that a weird, like...
Well, it just sounds like that's kind of where I'm going with the comic.
In what way? What do you mean?
One of the things that... So in the... You read the third issue?
No, I've read the first two.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you backed the third Kickstarter.
Yeah, I did. It's in there. I gotta get to it.
I'm done, man.
It's like, we're fucking take the headphones off. Slap the drink down.
One of the things that's happening in the background of the third and the fourth issues is this rising protest. And it's a little bit in the background of the third issue. It's like 2 pages in the fourth issue, and then the fifth issue starts to come to a head. And I can't spoil exactly what happens, but one of the things that I want to talk about going forward is the type of protest where you go to a designated public area and you hold a sign and you sing a song or you make a chant is not, it's not a way to influence people who have power. That is a way to meet other people who care about the same thing.
Ooh, okay.
Then you have to move on to protest that inconveniences people who can make the decision.
So stopping cars from going to work.
Stopping cars from going to work. Harassing Brett Kavanaugh outside of Morton's Steakhouse.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know, protesting on the sidewalk in front of Supreme Court members' houses has been, in a way, effective. Unfortunately, they, you know, passed a law, you know, allowing those crowds to be dispersed. But that was a pressure point that wasn't going to happen going down to the state capitol and doing a march.
Yeah, I feel like that would be effective. So, I mean, as long as they don't go in and like take them out of their home, you know, they don't physically harm them. But if they're on a public sidewalk in front of the house,
yeah,
I feel like that should be legal.
It should be. Yeah. Well, I mean, Supreme Court justices serve for life. They should think about the decisions that they make and how people might respond if those decisions are unpopular. They shouldn't just be able to get to make decisions and never have to face repercussions for them.
Yeah. Super relatable. I like that.
Yeah. And so with the comic, I want to show some of that. And I also kind of want to talk about I only want to talk about this a little bit because I don't have the depth to properly discuss it, but just in the United States, we lionize Martin Luther King, and we say that's the way to protest. But we've not really gone into the history of his movement, but also the additional movement by Malcolm X that really was putting a lot of pressure in negative ways, some would say, but creates an urgency to get this to stop happening. You know, with policy changes or with actual like appeasements or whatever. Yeah. If you want to make change, you have to make change. And if you don't have the power to do it, you have to influence the people who have that power. And if the people who have that power don't care about you as a person, then you need to make them care about them as a person living in that situation. Okay. So in Robo, I'm trying very slowly to show that start happening with, you know, these protests that are happening in the world of the comic getting worse and worse, and what happens to up the stakes of that.
Nice. Yeah, you have layers in your thing, because not only are you touching on some of this political stuff, but even the more like social, like here's a line from your book that I repeat in my head. It's the one with the ad about the thing. It's like a thing that makes you sleep less so you can be more productive. Yeah. And I laugh every time. Every time I think of myself, like, am I doing enough? That's like one thing I think of, like, you know, like you don't need to be hyper, you know, relax a little bit. I don't know. Yeah. So that's
another thing that I'm going to therapy for.
Do you mention therapy at all in your book?
No, there are no therapists in the future. We call that weakness.
It's only productivity.
Take a pill for that shit.
Oh shit. Oh dude, that's awesome, man. I'm excited to read through to catch up with it all. Yeah. Some of the stuff you're touching. How many issues do you think right now are you like, I can do 20, 30? What do you think?
So the 5th issue was essentially done in January, and I thought it would be out by now. And I've been slowed down because I got writer's block, or I got you know, some anxiety about it, because the 6th issue is supposed to finish this story arc. Okay. It's not going to be finishing the whole story or the series, but it's supposed to put at least a subtle ending on this first storyline. And I haven't been able to finish it. It's been difficult. Like, I want it to be good. I want it to hit all the notes, and I want it to hit them well. I want it, you know, it's not even out yet, but I want people who are buying that 6th issue to feel like it was worth the money for the extra 20 pages of story, and not be like, well, this could have ended, you know, 5 pages after the end of the 5th issue. Yeah. It's been difficult. That's something that's a new challenge for me. The comic book is my first creative work that I'm like really truly releasing to the world, and so like finishing something is difficult. Yeah.
Nah, but a lot of people listening could vibe with that. And also writing a comic book, this is a very ambitious like thing. This is like, yeah, this is, yeah, it's a tough thing to do. How do you manage writer's block in your own?
Well, I'm not doing it very well since it's still not written. But so the strategy I was taking was I was trying to do it in pieces, which has worked in the past. I think I had some writer's block for the 3rd issue as well. Basically, like, write the outline and it'd just be like, okay, I finished the outline. Nice. That is done. And then later come back and rewrite the outline. But like feeling like I had completed something was helpful. Or the way that I write the comic is usually I will just sort of vomit a bunch of stuff from my brain onto the page and then rearrange it a little and clean it up as I go along. That can help. You know, the 6th issue document right now is like 40 pages of stuff that I've written about the various iterations of it. So it's super long. It's way too long for what it is. And then, you know, the last tool is just, it's got to get done. You you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not really good at using that tool, but that's probably what it's going to end up taking. Once this 5th issue Kickstarter is over, it's going to need to get done.
Yes.
It's already paid for, so I got to have a script to send to Renzo.
Yeah.
And so at that point, it's going to be the urgency, which, you know, that's a tool that we use as humans in our work a lot.
Yep.
But it's also, I would like to start developing a better work ethic.
That was a burp, not a fart. It sounded like a fart.
Oh, good.
It was a burp. He's got whiskey and LaCroix.
Yep.
Yeah, urgency. I do the same thing with my Patreon. I'm like, this month I'm going to release it in the first couple weeks, and I still release it on the last week.
Well, so the thing that happened the other day, just as I was starting to do Kickstarter promotion, starting to do, you know, scheduling podcasts and that sort of stuff, is I was talking to my friend who helps me with the editing and helps me with, you know, the brain check stuff. And we were talking about other stuff that's going on in the world. And I said, oh yeah, I want to use that in the comic and I want to do this. And, I said, I think one of the things that I'm having trouble with is that this first 6-issue arc is in some ways an ending to the feeling of, I want to make a comic because I've always wanted to as a kid, and a step into the realm of, now I want to make a comic because I want to tell a story as an adult.
Yeah.
So it feels different. And as I started to get my head around that idea, I started to feel like there was more runway. And so it stopped being like, you have to finish this thing and it's got to be perfect right at the end. So hopefully that will help too. Now I'm, you know, busy enough getting the Kickstarter ready that it's like the script is 3rd or 4th on the priority.
Yeah. I feel like, I mean, you, like you said, you already paid the artist, right?
Yeah.
So you got you're
money spent. Can't get it back.
And I feel like you have been thinking about it a lot. I can like feel, when you, is this what you're in reference to of, you don't, you want to talk about it in depth, but can't right now? Was that in reference to that?
Yeah. So there's a bunch of things, that I really want to do in the 6th issue. And actually, one of the problems isn't filling pages. As I said, there's 40 pages of junk in there, and it's not even in script form, so it's compressed. I threw out 2 or 3 different storylines. I trashed an entire like theme out of it. And I guess one of the things about like the perfection drive is, I don't know when I'm going to get back to put that theme in. I still want to do it, but it may not fit into the story ever. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's hard to give up on those things, but kind of have to fit it in. I can't make like a 40-page 6th issue.
Why do you have to have the theme in there?
Okay. So one of the themes that I wanted to do that is probably getting cut was, so we talked about like the hustle culture and whether or not there are therapists in the future. And if you read all the issues of the comic book, in every issue, super subtle, it's probably something that only I care about, somebody drinks because of a problem.
Oh.
Every issue I fit it in.
Why'd you put that in there?
It just happened.
Oh,
by the 4th issue, I was like, oh, I got to have somebody drinking to forget in this issue because it's happened in every other issue. You know, it makes sense. It's not like it's uncommon. Mm-hmm. But so in the 6th issue, what I really wanted to do was to really bring that one up to the front and have Charles kind of go on a bender. And there was a scene that was going to be a couple of pages that I was going to have where he like gets into this very powerful armor, trashed, and goes out on the city to save people.
Oh, shit.
And, you know,
does
some damage.
Yeah. Oh, man.
But I don't think I'm going to have that. And I don't know when I'm going to fit that in. It didn't make sense for a lot of the other things that I wanted to do. And it was going to be some pages dedicated exactly to that. So I think it's interesting. And I will have to find a way to get back to, you know, themes of like, when you have this responsibility and these problems, like how do you handle them together?
All right. So what if like, and without, if it spoils it to answer it, don't answer it. But like, if you take this out and finish it however you think it might finish, would it be crazy to then do another, like the next arc is like the drinking issue arc, since it's been building, like, because you've been touching at it lightly. It would be crazy to then make it the focus of the 6th. That's why you're taking it out, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think if I come back to that sort of theme, or that like try to bring that to the forefront, I might do it with another character, or I might do it in a different setting.
Okay.
Because again, it's not Charles who's drinking in every episode or in every issue. It's everybody.
It's everybody. Okay.
And I like, that little Easter egg in there.
Yeah.
That theme that isn't, I'm not going to like paint it in big bright letters until I need to use that.
Bro, that's gonna be fire. When I swear to God, I'm like, I can like, oh yeah, dude, that's gonna be awesome. Because that's like addiction in general. I mean, you count social media, it's everybody's got, I feel like, something, and I feel like that's just super relatable, super relevant. That's what I love about your book, man. It's you got layers, man. That you can like.
Thanks.
Even that, just that little detail that you came up, like, you're through your subconscious, like with somebody drinking, like that could be its own fucking thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I really wanted to do this shot in the 2nd issue. So you've read the 2nd one, and there's the scene where he's in the bar and he's talking about why he feels bad. And I wanted Phil, the artist at the time, to do kind of a fade over where he raises the glass, and then the next panel is the flood. But we couldn't make it work. But like, you're drinking your problems, and it goes through the liquid, and then it comes into people drowning.
Yes.
That unfortunately did not make it in. It's, it's in there in my head, but it's not like perfect on the panel.
So what personality type would be interested in reading this book, or what? Yeah, that's
probably cynics. People who are concerned, I think, about, a variety of things would key into that. People who really like, I mean, it's dystopian. So if you like dark stories, it's got some darkness. And I say cynics because it's not like dark straight at your face. It's dark on the edges, and it looks cool, at the surface. What did I say the other day? I said, the world of New Chicago, the place setting of the comic is like, if the whole world was an Apple store. And it doesn't sound so awful at first. And then you think about what's in an Apple store.
Yeah.
Nothing. And the lights just all the time.
Yeah. Like, everything's, it's like a stare, like just the look, it's flat. It's Yeah.
So, I mean, I hope that everybody can get something out of the comic, but I think if you really favor those kind of things, if you're a sci-fi fan, I'm a huge sci-fi fan, and I try to put as much believable technology stuff in there as possible. So in the 5th issue, there's some mentions of CRISPR, which is a
gene splicing.
Yeah, good for you. But yeah, so there's stuff like that. It's not stuff that I have like a PhD in, but I try to put it in there at a level that you can read it and say, yeah, that's kind of believable.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then I feel like
without just being magic.
What else? Personality type. Yeah, I think we got it, bro. How you feel about it?
Yeah, good.
I feel great. We talked about.
We didn't talk about other comic books at all.
I know. We got into the 90s TV rabbit hole and all that. That was fun. Yeah. I guess we can end this podcast and get into these dinosaur suits, huh?
Boy, I've been waiting all hour for that.
What, Jesse, where can they find you?
Just took a drink. So I'm on Twitter and Instagram as Moosecat Comics. I have my website, moosecatcomics.com. The Kickstarter will be launching tomorrow, July 21st. It's called Robo. And if you search for that, you can find it, or you can find it through any of my socials. It'll be links in the bio, links off the website, all of those things. I am on Facebook. It's called Robo Comic Book there.
Okay.
I don't know why I couldn't get Moose Cat Comics. Somebody already had that, which is just baffling.
Can you buy it off of them?
You can buy it from the website.
Oh, okay.
You can get the back issues, but when the Kickstarter is live, getting them from that is actually the biggest help for me.
Okay.
Because it juices the algorithm.
Yeah,
Since
yeah.
we're talking about social media, the algorithm likes to see people putting money into that.
Yeah.
But if you missed the Kickstarter and you still want to get a copy, you can get it through the website. Or if you live in Raleigh, Munjo in downtown actually has copies of the comic issue 1 through 4.
Nice. And how long is the Kickstarter open for people to purchase?
It'll be 3 weeks and 2 days, I think. So ending on a Friday in mid-August.
All right. So I will make sure I'll get this out by next Tuesday. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right. I don't want to cut into that time. So if you listen to this, buy the damn book. It's good. It's got layers. You touch on a lot of different things. Jesse, thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks
Guys,
for having me, Freddie.
Yeah, no problem, dude. Subscribe, share, suck off your best friend, man. Do whatever you got to do, you know? It's a cold world out there, guys. Bye.